this morning. Just for a second, I thought
Did you get on 7?
After it shows the square root of
Wait, it's 1, 2, and 3?
that's what I got, because after n is over 3,
Comparatively,
after n
it's
is
not
over
bad.
1, or after the square root of n is over 1, then it will
Just
go.
because you said that,
So at the beginning
it
it
is
was
that
four.
bad.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh.
want the notes and everything?
You know what it is though? It's not 2
Yeah,
because
okay, so
Miss.
I plugged this
I
in
wasn't
and that's
here
what
on
we
Monday.
get for 2, and that's what you get for 3. So it's actually not getting.
Square root of n
This
increases.
Oh, 56 is this.
N plus 1 is not less
The
than.
square root of n
Yes.
increases. 1 over square root of n decreases.
Did you do 55?
I think 2 is wrong because I think it's not getting closer to 0.
Yes, was that the one on Monday?
I think it wasn't on Monday, I think it was due Friday.
I think I did it. I think
1 over
whatever
square
it
root
was,
of n decreases.
whenever it was due.
Have you turned it in?
I don't believe so.
Alright. Well, you gotta turn that one in.
Yeah.
Blake,
I don't know what's going on.
Oliver.
Most intimidating. That's an award for most intimidating.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm surprised you got that.
don't talk about my award.
Why are you surprised?
I'm joking.
You're not surprised?
I am surprised.
Okay, good answer.
I do not have, obviously,
I have no opinion.
Were you not at that luncheon last year? The AP Scholar? Oh, okay. You'll probably do it this year.
Anything you want, I think we have enough time to take pictures.
AP Scholar luncheon.
That thing, is that where you got it?
You wouldn't want to give that award.
That's where I get all of those.
Yeah.
But like the superintendent, everyone's there, and
Negative on the bottom.
I can't remember who read out the. Oh, it was oh my gosh, I can't believe
My other classes.
Dylan Sanders.
He gave it to you?
I understand.
He was the one who like called it out on the intercom, you know. And I really wanted to like put him in a headlock for the picture, but since all of district admin was there, I thought it was probably not a good idea.
why do I have to go?
I think you'd be more than happy to
Okay, we're missing Mason, Blake, Oliver, and Dexter. Blake made it. Okay, I would like your assignment 57 from last class. Please make sure your name's on it before you come turn it in.
What was this supposed to say? I wasn't thinking it was
Thank you very much. Will you please stand if you are able to pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Have a great day.
I missed this portion of class.
Okay,
That's why I missed
hurry
it.
up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, last call. Any other 57s? Okay. You will also. I'm also going to ask you to update your 56, where we've been writing down all of our tests and what they look like and how you're supposed to know when they converge or diverge. So that's 56. So you will need to get that one out for me. Here, do that.
I turned in my 56, sorry.
Oh. The 56 was your started on your own piece of paper.
Yeah,
Okay. You want to dig it out?
thank you.
You did the same thing? Okay. Okay, so moving on along today, we are doing our next test, which is called the ratio test. This one's very similar to the alternating series test we did last time. Of course, this one is not specific to alternating series. So last time, we had to make sure that the limit as n approached infinity of a sub n equaled 0 for the first check. And we had to make sure that any term we took divided by his previous term is always less than or equal to 1. So basically, getting closer to 0. Not necessarily just decreasing, but getting closer to 0. Okay, and then so in the ratio test, first they're reminding us how to deal with this, even though we've been doing this for a while now. So, the one on the right at least. So, 3 to the n plus 1 is like 3 to the n times 3 to the first, because when you multiply things with the same base, you add the exponents. And then, so we're going to do a lot of simplifying like that today, and we could simplify that just to be 3. Alright, factorials might have been new to you last class, and that's fine. But n plus 1 factorial is the same as what times what times what? What would be the first thing?
N plus 1.
Okay. N plus 1, oops.
Times n,
Okay, times the next term.
and then n minus 1.
Okay. And
all
you
the way
would,
down to 1.
right, and keep multiplying those till you get to 1. So, numerically, like 3 factorial just means 3 times 2 times 1. You start off with the first thing, times 1 less than that, times 1 less than that. Starting off with n plus 1, times 1 less than that, times 1 less than that, all the way to 1. Okay, and then what does n factorial mean if we write it out the same way?
N times n minus 1 all the way down.
Okay, so notice how these also cancel, and so that would just simplify to n plus 1. Okay, so the only condition for a ratio test is that a sub n, this stuff has to all be positive terms, so no negative terms, no alternating terms, nothing like that. If we have all positive terms, what we can do is take a term like a sub n plus 1, divide it by his previous term, which would be a sub n, take the limit as n approaches infinity of that, and if it's less than 1, what do you think that tells us about the series?
Converges.
That's what that means. So basically, this is a fancy way of saying some term is smaller than his previous term. It's a fancy way to say it's decreasing. Because if you're taking a term divided by its previous term, if it's less than 1, its previous term had to be bigger. So if it's bigger than 1, what would you guess that means?
Diverges.
Okay, if it's equal to 1, what would you guess that that means? Okay, you're wrong on this one. This one's inconclusive. Then we have to use another test. So it's not helpful if it gives us 1, but if it's less than 1, it converges. If it's greater than 1, it diverges. Okay, So the first two examples here just show you that the ratio test doesn't help, but we really should know the answer to these two already. So number one, does this converge or diverge?
Diverge.
Okay. And for the people who don't see that, how did you know that diverges?
Harmonic.
Okay, it's the harmonic series that we just memorized. Just shows up too often. Okay, somebody else, what about this one? Converge or diverge? Okay, and for the people who didn't see that, how did you know that that converged? What? It's a P series where P is greater than 1. Okay, so we really know what this does, but let's try to use the ratio test on this. This is partly to see, for you to understand that the ratio test isn't going to work 100% of the time. If it worked 100% of the time, we'd probably need less of our other test. Okay, but what the ratio test says is we are going to take the limit as n goes to infinity of a sub n plus 1 divided by a sub n. So a sub n plus 1 just means you're going to a sub n and replacing n's with n plus 1's. A sub n is the thing that's sitting here, just like it has been. Now, dividing by a sub n is the same thing as multiplying by his reciprocal, so I'm usually just going to do that right away. And because this limit is approaching infinity, we can apply horizontal asymptote rules here. The degrees are equal, so it's going to approach leading coefficient 1 over leading coefficient 1. So that guy has a limit of 1, and so based on the ratio test, this is inconclusive. So we would need a different test, and your different test would be, oh wait, it's the harmonic series that we memorize, hopefully. Okay, you don't have to memorize this, but just so you know, the ratio test never works for P-series, although I don't know why you would be trying to do the ratio test for a P-series test. P-series test is one of the easiest ones to apply, so why complicate it? But for our sake here, just to show you that P-series wouldn't work on this one, limit as n approaches infinity of a sub n plus 1. So everywhere there's an n, we're putting n plus 1. Divided by a sub n, or multiplied by his reciprocal. I can see the degree of the numerator is 2. If I FOILed this out, the degree of the numerator is 2. Leading coefficient over leading coefficient would be that limit, because I get to use horizontal asymptote rules. And unfortunately, if the ratio test equals 1, the ratio test is inconclusive. So if we really have to know if it converges or diverges, we have to use a different test. In this case, the P-series. But again, just like everything in mathematics, you should try to take the path of least resistance. You should try to just start with the harmonic series for number 1 and the P-series for number 2. Don't overcomplicate it. But okay, so now let's look at one or a couple where the ratio test will actually help. Now again, technically, for you to even use the ratio test, you need to make sure that you get only positive values. If I plug in 1, this is always going to be positive. As n is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is always positive. As n is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is always positive. So ratio test is fine to use on this. So we can take the limit as n approaches infinity of, what's the first thing? Okay, well, what do we call this term right here?
A sub n plus 1.
Okay, a sub n plus 1. So you go to a sub n. Remember, this is a sub n. So basically, everywhere there's an n, you're replacing it with an n plus 1. And I'm highlighting that. Help you see. And the n plus 1 I just changed to n plus 2. Okay, we are supposed to divide that by what?
A sub n.
Okay, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of a sub n. Okay, now we have to figure out this limit. And the nice thing is, a lot of this is going to cancel out. The other nice thing is that this is a limit as n approaches infinity, which means we can rely on our horizontal asymptote rule sometimes. But let's see where the dust settles here. Now, like we reviewed at the top of the page, I would probably rewrite some of this stuff. 5 to the n plus 1 is like 5 to the n times 5 to the first. You want to split that up because here's a times 5 to the n, and you can cancel out with that divided by 5 to the n. Likewise, this 3 to the n plus 2 is like a 3 to the n times 3 to the 2, or just call it 9. And then you might want to rewrite this guy down here as 3 to the n times 3 to the first. Because now I can see I've got a times 3 to the n and a divide 3 to the n, so I can let those cancel. Okay, so I guess probably the hardest thing after you practice it a few times, I mean the setup takes a little bit of practice, but after that is you can see it just gets kind of messy. Well, I've reduced as much as I can, but now I've got to eventually try to do this limit question so I can move on. Okay, if you look at the numerator, what do you think the degree of the numerator is? Okay. Okay, I agree. If I FOILed this out, the biggest exponent would be a 2. What do you think the degree of the denominator is?
2.
Okay, so the degrees are equal, so therefore the limit of this stuff is going to equal leading coefficient over leading coefficient. Now, it might be smart to rewrite what's left over because it might be a little bit easier to see, but what do you think the leading coefficient is going to be in the numerator? Very good. It's going to be a 9. And the leading coefficient in the denominator is a lot easier to see. 15?
5 times 3.
5? Oh, times 3. Okay. That's important. Okay. So what? The limit's 9/15.
So it converges.
Okay, so converges. What's true about 9/15 that tells you it converges?
It's less than 1.
Less than 1. Greater than 1 it diverges, less than 1 it converges. Okay, so again, it's important to think about when we can use this test. If everything's positive terms, you're welcome to use the ratio test. If it had equaled 1, we would have to fall back on another test. Since this one was less than 1, we can say that it converges, and if it was greater than 1, we would say it diverges. Okay, so once again, let's make sure that all these values are positive. So imagine plugging in n is 1, n is 2, n is 3 until you're convinced they're all positive terms. Okay, then the ratio test says you can take the limit of a sub n plus 1 divided by a sub n, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of a sub n. You need to try to reduce this as much as you can. Now, as you feel more comfortable with this, I'm going to say that you should probably do less of this. But early on, make yourself write out some pretty good work here. The simplifying and canceling out, I'm afraid that's where you're going to have the most mistakes. So 4 to the n plus 1 is like 4 to the n times 4 to the first times, I have an n factorial. I also want to rewrite this. What is n plus 1 factorial equal to? Okay, it's n plus 1 times the one less than that, which would be n, times the one less than that. But I'm going to stop at n factorial. Why do you think I'm stopping there?
Cancel.
Right, I want those to cancel. That's why I'm choosing to rewrite that. Because it's going to be real hard for me to keep up with whether the numerator or denominator is growing faster when one of them has a factorial in it. So, anyway, and then this is 4 to the n. So then you can also see that these cancel, and the answer to that limit is what?
0.
Which is less than. Therefore, this series
Converges.
converges. Okay, let's go through one more example. I think the only difference with the next one is the next factorial is a little harder to deal with. But again, this process is not too bad. You just have to keep telling yourself in your head so that you actually remember it long term. When we can use this test, only when it gives us only positive terms. And doing this a sub n plus 1 divided by a sub n, we actually did some of that last class, so you're already a little used to that, but with the alternating series stuff. Okay, question 5, if I plug in n is 1, n is 2, n is 3, that all seems like that's all positive. So I'm going to jump into the limit as n approaches infinity of a sub n plus 1. So this would be n plus 1 to the 5th. If I put an n plus 1 here in place of n, that's like 2n plus 2 factorial. And then divide it by a sub n, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of a sub n. You're welcome to make an extra step out of that if you want to, but I'm just going to change it to multiply every time. Okay, I anticipate the majority of the mistakes coming from trying to simplify here. So make yourself simplify some. I've got an n to the 5th here. I've got an n plus 1 to the 5th down here that I don't think I can do anything about either of those. I guess if you wanted to take n plus 1 and multiply it by itself 5 times, if you want to do that to yourself, you could, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. Down here, I've got a 2n factorial, and up here, I can make this look a little bit better. So, factorials are like taking that term times the one less than that, and what's 1 less than 2n plus 2?
2n plus 1.
1.
Okay, times the one less than that, which is what?
2n.
Okay, and then I'm going to stop here because I want those to cancel. Okay, now don't say it out loud, but think about what you think that limit equals to and what that means in terms of our series we started with. Okay, what do you think this limit is?
Infinity.
It is infinity. Good catch. How did you know that?
It's like n to the 7 up top, and then over n to the 5th.
Very good. So if we multiplied this mess together, which I don't want to do, n to the 5th times an n, the degree of the numerator is 7, the degree of the denominator would only be 5. If the degree of the numerator is bigger than the degree of the denominator, this is going to infinity or negative infinity. Either way, the limit doesn't exist. I guess I shouldn't say infinity. I don't know if it's infinity or negative infinity. Therefore, our answer should be that he diverges. Okay, so now you're on to the practice part. So I guess you don't have to do this in the same order, but I would like you to finish this up. So you need to get the practice in and make sure that you can do this correctly. And that blank piece of paper, number 56 from 2 classes ago, I started you off by helping you fill out the first 5 tests we had done, the integral test, the nth term test, P-series, geometric, and harmonic series. And then on Monday, I asked you to update with the next 2 tests, which was the comparison and limit comparison test. And then today I'm asking you to please update it with at least the stuff from last class, if not also today's stuff. But I would really like you to update today's part after you finish today's practice, once you feel like you really understand it. Because I don't want you to add anything to those notes that is extra. I just want it to be like the most important highlights. Okay, let me get these homeworks typed in real quick, and then I will be available the rest of the class to help out with any of that you're struggling with. One second. I was looking at your thing here. This is actually 55.
Okay, yeah, that's what, because I did that one and then, because I was looking at the
Oh, my
daily
bad. My
thing.
bad. Yeah,
and
I forgot to number it correctly.
Well, okay, but because I already did the video review and then I did this whole worksheet that we're working on today because I thought it was 57.
Oh, okay.
So is there any way that I can do the actual 57 today and get full credit for it since it was even though it's due today? Because I did this one thinking it was 57 and thinking it was due today because of the daily calendar.
50? Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
Sure is quiet today.
Wonder why.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Also, just quick reminder, if you're interested in doing ACTM, that deadline for your $5 is just a week or 2 away. So if that's something you're interested in, I can't sign you up unless I have your money.
Hopefully I will be back soon.
And I'm passing your homework back, which should be needed to update your 56.
Hey, you're what?
I made it.
My back felt so unusually strong.
Well, almost did it.
So we'd have to go tomorrow.
Normally I don't get nosebleeds this early in the morning.
You might be dying.
Only a little bit. I think the most interesting one was when I got a nosebleed and was like 10 minutes before my world started. And so I was like, Mr. Margaret, I'll be back in a second. And he was like, are you gonna die? And I was like,
Wait, no,
no.
I low-key, like, remember him talking to me.
Why would he say that?
I don't know, he mentions weird things to me all the time. Cause,
He
like,
goes, what am I
he's
thinking? 10
stationed,
nosebleeds during the final.
he's stationed outside, like, the girls' bathrooms during, like, advisory.
Yeah.
And so I'll usually come in late to the preliminary classes, and so occasionally he'll be like, what'd you make today? And it's like, and I tell him, and then he tells me something weird that happened in class. He might have told me that.
That was his fun fact of the day.
He does enjoy his fun times.
He does.
I don't know how they make paper towels that absorb no water at all. There's,
They're hydrophobic. Oh, they're school ones. That's
oh
why.
my gosh, these
The
are
school doesn't
terrible.
actually care.
Yeah.
Invest in Bounty.
Well, they're like, they think that it's cheaper, and it's like it is cheaper, but when you have to use 20 times as much,
In the long run, it's gotta get more expensive.
they're probably scared we'll take it home or something.
It's like, we don't pay you enough, so you're gonna steal our paper towels, aren't you?
Well, you're joking, but I knew a bunch of people in college that would take toilet paper from, like, the university and just take it home.
Fair enough. You know, you gotta respect it. But you get ahead. University's already taking more money, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. If I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars in tuition, then maybe I deserve some tuition.
If I saw a college student walk out of a college bathroom with a bunch of toilet paper in hand, I would not question it. I would be like, good for you. You're living the dream.
5 was, it was.
You sound how I feel. It's not good.
Can confirm.
I believe in your ability to live. You got this.
I will try, that is for sure.
I see what they're doing. Because A is just out north 60, B is just in left reciprocal, C is just down +1, and D is I assume for 6. Oh my god. So when you do it, it would be 7 + 1, 7 + 1. Yeah, I got D. Times 7. Wait, are you on 7? Yeah. 6 times 7 to the 17 + 1. 6 + 7 times. Yeah, you can just do algebra. It's just the 7. You just gotta like cancel all the terms and they'll give it to you. Yeah. What'd you get? 60. Yeah. 60. Yeah, it was n + 1 times 5. Yeah.
No, I also said that. You're not the
And
only
then
one.
B, just one, so X has to equal.
Oh, I see. Then would be.
C2 over X has to equal.
I just the A already done that one.
They do. Is it good one? So you have to pay right now? 173? How many days? I would love to. Just the experience.
Is that your favorite term when you beat people at
Maybe.
soccer? Here you go. Yeah, so big games you go.
Making a lot of money on some grounds.
I wouldn't push it past me.
X equals 6.
No, it's
X has to be greater. X has to be greater.
Why is it L log? You can't do the aw sounds back. Logwa. Yeah, you're right. I do that.
Hello, Mr. Johnson.
You're here.
I am.
There's another one too. It's like
Thank you.
I can't remember this one. I knew there was another one though.
Yeah, I also thought it should be. But it doesn't.
Logwa. I'm gonna start calling out new stuff. What is it? What is I need? Necesito logwa. Yeah. That's the strand.
It's actually not that bad. I'm already on.
You think you could help me finish this one? Number 3. So,
Okay, you're almost there.
yeah.
So based on the degrees,
It'd go to 1.
It would be n plus 1 times.
no, the
No.
degrees are equal. So
Equal.
it's gonna go to leading coefficient over leading coefficient
So 6
over x.
over X. So,
If you want it to converge, you need.
it has to be greater than 6 for it to be less than 1. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, you're right there at the end.
Mr. Townsend, could you put the notes on the front page? Thank you. Because we know for a fact that 3 is not. Oh, that's it.
I will share and offer to work out any of the first 4 here in just a minute when he's out with the notes. I do have all these answers posted online already too, though. So if you're doing well and you don't want to wait to check your work, you're welcome to use that.
We eat more food than anybody I know. This is that normal. She's 6 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The unlimited.
Wait, don't they make you get a full semester?
No, you can get, didn't I get you?
Yeah.
Alright, and then.
How much is that? And it does the whole year too? Oh, it's like for the max, yeah, for the whole year. No, it's, and you can, yeah. What would you do? This is the student or the student? So this one, so 3 colleges. I like it, but it's just not a lot of stuff.
Why would you want to do that?
There's 1 over 16.
Why would you want to?
2,600. 2 divergences. So one is 2n cubed over 2n cubed. So it's inclusive. So you'd have to say.
We're gonna go to college.
This minus. Which I can't see remember.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
It equals something finite. Remember, it equals something finite too also. When you're saying the same. So you're saying this 1 plus 1. So that goes to right.
So maybe they're doing. What they're doing? They do more than that. So they do for like.
Oh, that's like that. That's crazy. But I think that's where I'm not sure on some other that seemed to be very just okay, so one of the rear both that's all.
I'll be for you.
Yeah.
How long?
And then this is the one you're doing. I'm just gonna go with the. We carried like we played. Oh, any like any. Just every example. Well, if you do the limit test, this is going to be 1 over 4, which means this one diverges. If you do the nth test for this, it's going to be 0, which means it's also inclusive. Yeah. So 2 and 3 diverge. I mean, yeah. They all diverge.
Okay, again, I know I have the answers online, but to offer some help here, the answers I got for the first 4 were converge, diverge, x has to be greater than 6, and then choice A. Is there any of those 4 you'd like me to go over with you to help?
Maybe 4. Yes, number 4.
Yeah, as that that's, oh yeah.
Okay, I got a question for number 4, so let's go ahead and talk about this one. Alright, so we are doing the ratio test on this because this has only positive values. And so the ratio test says take the limit as n approaches infinity of a sub n plus 1. So everywhere there's an n, we're replacing it with an n plus 1. Now, I'm actually going to change this just right away. 7 to the n plus 1 is like 7 to the n times 7. Okay, divide that by a sub n, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of a sub n. And the reason I split apart this 7 to the n plus 1 is so I could see that these 7 to the n's cancel. And again, sometimes you got so much canceled out and reduced here that you kind of need to just rewrite it all for step makes it a little bit easier to see. Okay, and then based on the answer choices here, let's say that, well, first off, if P was negative, that would mess up some stuff because that's like the stuff changing the size, the side of the fraction that it's on. But assuming that P is just some number, what would the limit of this come out to be?
1/7.
Right, you would have, this is going to end up being degree P, this is degree P. If the degrees are equal, you could put leading coefficient over leading coefficient. So that's going to be 1/7, which is less than 1, so that will converge. But you need to think about what values of P makes that happen. So if P was bigger than 7, like 8, does that change anything? No, because the degrees are still the same. So we don't really need to box it in to be less than 7. Choice C, does P have to be greater than 1? Well, what if P was a half? I mean, I guess the degree of the numerator could be a half and the degree of the denominator could be a half, and if the degrees are still equal, this would still be the limit. So I don't see any reason to pick that. And there are no positive values that'll make that converge. That's obviously not true. Pretty much any P you pick will work as long as it's a positive P. So. Okay, is that enough for 4? Okay. Did anybody else want to ask about 1, 2, or 3? This is your chance. Converge, diverge, or x is greater than 6. Okay, I think, I say I think because I did number 5 in my head and I checked it and it seemed fine, but I'm pretty sure 5 should be choice D. Did y'all get D for 5? Okay. D, D, and then C. Okay. D, D, and C for page 2. Is there any of those you would like me to talk about yet? Okay. Then I'll let you keep working. Yes.
Your requirements to do the ratio test, you have to have all positive terms. How do we know that something has all positive terms?
You put in the starting value for n at the bottom of the series. So like question 1 starts at n equals 1. So you plug it in, you get a positive number. Then you would plug in 2 for n, it's positive. You plug in 3 for n, it's positive. You plug in 4 for n, it's positive.
Just see if the pattern looks like it's.
Yeah, if you just plug in a few, you can see there's no reason for to think that it's going to start becoming negative. So. Oh, this is unrelated to today's class, but it is related to last class, something that came up. Y'all remember talking about how fast the exponential functions grow?
Yes.
And how you were supposed to know something like
3D n grows faster than n to the 2.
yeah, 3 to the n grows faster than into the third, right? Well, now you also have factorials. Factorials actually grow faster than exponentials. So when I said and I'll still offer to work it out. But I did question 5 in my head. I knew number 2 diverged simply because I knew factorials grow faster than exponential. So into the 20th grows crazy fast, but not as fast as a factorial does. So I knew this was going, just from my number sense, knowing that, I knew that was going to go to infinity without actually having to do the work behind it. So just something to consider.
Where are you going to screen the third one on that, question 5?
Uh-huh. You're having trouble with this part? Let's give it a shot here. Well, one thing I would do is move this to the denominator to give it a positive exponent. You can leave it negative. It's just going to be harder and harder and harder to keep up with. So there's the n plus 1. This would cancel out this, except for the pi. Okay, yeah, so working it out, it looks like these two have equal degrees, so it's going to be leading coefficient 1 over leading coefficient pi. 1 over pi is less than 1, so he converges.
Oh, you want it, right?
Yeah.
Oh. So it doesn't tell us. So then we know what it is. Okay, so this one.
I don't know why. They have the same exposure.
It is older.
But it's just the first all of it.
I think it's divided by this way, because if it's 1 over 8.
Because numerator would be equals 2.
Let's just say it's 1 over 3. You plug it in here, it's 1 over 4. I don't get that, right? Plug in 2.
It's gotta be
That's
greater than
positive.
this.
Plug in 3, it's going to be negative.
Like change
Plug in 4,
these.
Since it's infinity, it's going to make these negative ones.
Infinity, just times an infinite out of smaller numbers.
Plug in 4, it's going to be positive. 5, it's going to be negative.
So, it's like,
I guess you could practice that.
yeah, no, that's.
I don't want to think about it.
Infinity to
It is
infinity
ultimately
would
when you
probably
figure
be
out that it's like looking on it, it's going to be about like 40.
Yeah, but they're both infinite, so.
That's only what I got to the error.
Why is it?
But it was because it's negative. Positive switch to negative. Even if it's negative 1.
Comparison test. What could you do?
I mean, you can even that number. Yeah, just hit it.
Oh, shit. I don't, is there nothing?
Understand it now. Compared to n over the next the n bar.
I guess that makes sense.
Well, it has to be greater than 1, no matter what value you look at.
It'll always be.
So if it's always greater than 1, and you're always adding things greater than 1 to each other.
It's gotta be.
It would die, right?
But also when it's
Well, oh yeah, you're right.
Sorry, the first term is 1 over 1.
This is like. What if we just integrated? I think that's the solution. Integrate. Use the u over u factorial. I think so.
Brandon, are you on 20?
Yeah, we said it's just inclusive. Do you have the answer?
We do it for sure. Yeah, apparently, whatever the heck, 1 plus 1 over n to the n equals e.
Oh. Oh, it equals e, really?
Yeah.
N plus 1 to the n over n to the n equals e.
1 plus 1 over n, and then like that in parentheses raised to the n power.
Yeah,
is
so it all equals e. Okay. So this just equals
I guess that's why. Oh yeah, that's the theme is 1 over n. So it is.
Keep it till next time, please. I don't have it opened up in the grade book yet, so I can't give you the grade.
Yeah. It's a 1 plus. But also like, it would make sense if it was like for it to be greater than 1.
Yeah, that's what we all thought it would be greater than 1 as well. But we didn't know how to express it. Yeah. That was nice.
What is this?
What?
No.
Pre-cal section 3.1.
Yeah, my pre-cal teacher didn't teach me that.
Right, the definition of Euler's number.
I remember doing that.
You've seen that before.
No way I've done that.
in my life.
Yeah, I don't
There's more
remember
than one way to write it, but.
I don't remember you ever teaching that to us.
Well, I told you it wouldn't be on the quiz, so you didn't have to memorize it, but.
It was also 2 years ago, so even if you did tell us, I
That's your
definitely
mother
would've
language
forgotten.
class.
Did you know your name 2 years ago?
Do I know my name 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Do you still know your name?
Yeah? There's a difference though between learning something, there's a difference between learning this for 1 quiz and remembering my name. That's a horrible comparison.
It is a horrible comparison, because you shouldn't be learning this for 1 quiz, you should be learning it to learn it.
Why would I learn it to learn it?
I think
For 1 question of ABC.
I know. I think it might help
wait,
us
what's on that
more
birth
if we used it
certificate?
for more than that 1 quiz, you know?
We used it more than once in our life.
Send me a picture of yours. But your ID number is confirmed on the desk.
I think I'm good.
And your credit card number.
I'd rather keep that
Oh,
personal. Keep it
Long
together.
enough.
See, I told you that.
We should probably go back over it.
I never really learned that word. You skipped it. That was not my fault. I can't believe you didn't remember your Roblox games. Even then though, how would you be able to figure that out?
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, it would be X plus 1.
Yes, yeah. You're not. You're 18, Leo. Yeah. Why do I ever run that grace? It's not even 3rd grade.
But then he said it didn't require, so.
I heard that Cal AP just found out contribution. That feels like so long ago. Yeah, it really does. That was a year ago, actually. It's not even something to focus on. I can't remember the last time I graded something.
That's nice.
Is he in AV?
Everybody, I feel like not everybody we just got a whole lot more participation. I could have made that happen. Just for the fun of the board. Participation appreciated, and then next week whoever has.
What if you had a dog costume on that night?
That would be sort of. Not a dog costume.
Oh.
I can't remember the stuff.
They're actually really
Furry
expensive.
dog, but then
So
I don't do it, you just like go.
So I thought I would It's pretty so far.
I've seen some people like.
It would be.
Yeah, but it's still full cost. Someone's like, oh yeah.
I don't even know why. I kind of like so
You know you're really good.
The universe. Yeah, if I saw that, I'd first be like, what's it?
Tom,
Yes.
could you help me with 7? I don't really know where to start. So, should I work it out, or?
I don't know how to do it.
I'm thinking basically,
He's like, something again.
what I was thinking is I know they have the same exponent, but one has like 6 times as much, but I don't, I guess.
I just wrote down the. Oh, I didn't work it out.
So there is work, okay.
Yeah.
So I should just work it
this
out
one,
probably? Or-
This one's obviously not going to work because
Up on that floor.
you can just do that.
I mean, there's that other method.
That just can't convert.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like they worked them out for
Okay.
these 3. I don't know.
I'll try
How
to
did
work
I
it out.
know? I knew the answer though without
Without working it?
something about those other 2.
The great thing about last year is like you learn something.
Alrighty, I'll try it,
Well,
and then,
I think I just did process of elimination. Sometimes I'm good at guessing multiple choice because I've made so many multiple choice questions in my life. Like, you see how C and D both have the same denominator, but B doesn't?
yeah,
So that probably means C and D have the correct denominator because
they're both, yeah, transfer you
otherwise you would just know it was B from that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, try to work it out the long way, and then if you're not sure,
Okay.
I'll help.
Our would be
Yeah, don't worry.
the integral. Bounds are where you can look the bounds. And then square yeah, yeah. It's just the integral. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it would be the integral from I think square. All I know is that.
Wait, I don't think that's also in the series. I'm on the.
We can't cancel 3 times n plus 2.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's
n plus 1 times 3 n plus 2.
yeah.
That's what they did. See, I remember when I was doing it, I was like, yeah, I'm never getting that game. And then Lane forced me to get it Friday, and I'm like, yeah.
Where did you get what? Burgess and
Right.
I think
Yeah, so
they don't know how to
yeah,
spell.
where should you get what?
Pokemon? Download it right now.
I went through and I did a bunch of the ones that I've elected to do more.
Wait, did you finish the one that's before?
Oh, 55? Yes, that was already done. I had that done. Yay!
Yeah, I just got to do narratives. That one's actually one too. Don't forget about the one.
Kettle flying vultures.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's actually really well, it's so.
Really?
100% what?
Vultures comes from the kettle labor.
It's
Yeah, let's see.
I remember there was this one card, just like after you attacked it, I couldn't take anything. The other guy said that, I was like, yeah, that's same as the 91. There was two different versions of it. One, it would only last time you don't use it. How much time? Like the shield, like shield, when it goes through something, way longer than you attack.
Raven can be on kindnesses or
Oh yeah, new attacks, you would get, it would do like 40 damage, which is super low, but you literally wouldn't take any damage. So I don't know if it's the other version, it only lasts 3 rounds, which is still crazy. Forgot my pen. I have my versions and I could start a magic card. You get caught. It's just build up registers.
Oh.
Three strikes, you're dead. Wow.
You're dead.
3 strikes and you're dead.
You get beat.
Prince, you get the pen. You think anybody sees anything. Are you doing it?
You're not, or you are?
This guy has a Charizard.
Impact will cancel
Well, actually, no. Think about this. 8+1
an intrude.
So think that this is 8+1 times
Brain element this time is Charizard. I don't think people can survive until they walk in. Both my maximums. I'll tell them now.
Some schools don't get that. Don't know. I've heard the girl works
Yeah. I'll actually, alright, we'll get the Gyarados next year, and that does 140 damage.
Oh, you mean 50 grand across 4 years?
That's what I was
Private scholarships? Private scholarships for years. Have you applied for that many scholarships?
And Earth.
That sounds like stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
That's,
But I'm not gonna do it. Why? Because you're serious.
Right now, just want to towards the top.
That's so serious, isn't it?
I do my best. What?
Are you actually?
Yeah, my family actually
I drink 60 gallons.
What?
No, mine immigrated from Malaysia when I was 17 years old. I've actually
An
done.
implausibility of news.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how you put this like that.
It makes you
I think that counts.
I bet, I wonder if that's.
I better lie.
What is 4 over n plus 1 times? Wait, Hispanic are you? Oh, 0%. Wait, you're an artist. How can you say Hispanic or Argentinian? That you're German? Is what Hispanic means? Oh, so that's actually be born.
They also just added a trading yesterday. So the trading card game just got traded.
This what? Not.
And then it got yeah, there's one. If I were you, I would only use the decks. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting every single card from.
I've been at home now for 2 days. I can't afford to send on school. Cause then I'll get way behind and I'll be sad forever.
Did you have like a test this week or something?
Yeah, so I have to take the big multiple choice portion of the forensic science test for HOSA.
No. My friend was studying for that.
Yeah.
And they like failed their 10 tests over it. They were studying for that.
New generations of things.
Between forensic science or
Exam plan crowdfunding.
Bleach blonde hair.
Yes.
He doesn't actually bleach his hair, but please do please do tell him that you think he does. Tell him that he does it every day, right? It's an inside joke.
Okay.
Because every time it's me and his partner, we both bully him really. And they're like, it's okay if you wear a wig. It's okay if you wear it every day. All your hair.
It's natural? Sorry.
It's natural.
That's not cool.
It's actually crazy.
I saw this morning at Little Bread.
Just changing a story.
But yes.
Again, I'm the one that yesterday I had to take chem stuff, but it's all general chem. I don't actually I don't know how to solve this problem, but it's the AP
It's
so this is really hard. And
Yeah.
become that tendency.
Oh, like actually
Yeah.
drop it or.
You know what, sure.
You better do HOSA, otherwise I'm gonna get him.
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
Is he like an EMT?
Yeah, there's an EMT one.
That's
cool. I know last year he was going for forensic science, but I think his competition partner had to drop out. He couldn't find anybody else. That's what I think happened anyway. But I have to do well in this test,
You got mad at
because
you.
Joey texted me in August like to go back to international for forensic science.
Well, study harder than the rest, even harder
Well,
after.
it's this next period. It's during advisory. And honestly, the test is never that bad.
Most of us.
We went to the international one and it's like, it's like, if a Blitzband then what is it? And it's like stuff like that. We're like,
Is it multiple choice? Is there like any writing?
it's all multiple choice.
Oh.
The writing portion is the second passive test. That's the skill bit. It's Joe. I need to know glucosinide real fast, and that's what I'm gonna do to study.
Cyanide?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking, I thought that was like the same, I thought that those two were one. I was like this.
I think it takes a full day to recover. Yeah, I might have to spend 10 bucks on this game. No way.
Oh, how's the
My premium?
That's
It's no different than getting like the battle pass.
I only have like,
I mean, it really is no different.
what? Probably like 25 hours left. Yay.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree. Actually, I would agree though.
In February, I'm gonna have to get a
It takes a really long time. But it's definitely more exciting up to what I was doing.
overall.
There was nothing.
Nah, it's okay, Joe. I can do it on
Like I said,
easy,
it's
but
not,
yeah.
not good to do that before fellowship, or then you know I'm
I
not-
also
like
need to
it,
maintain
you
this
know,
one.
true.
We're not at the S yet.
Cause I already, even before February, I
It doesn't really
a lot,
matter.
but, and don't log the hours. So,
But
that was my
Guaranteed
fault,
the exact same thing.
but like, I can't go back and log in because I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't technically have like
Hopefully, that's
a
for.
teacher proctoring, and
Why
even
say
if I
that?
did, they do not.
I
It's
guess
fine.
it is quite the same.
I can just,
Oh, what?
I can just do like, if I
Oh,
said
okay, so it doesn't depending on whichever one you open, you get a different.
Well, I knew baby rabbits are close to it.
What do you think is your
It's
best
beautiful,
act?
although I'm so close to being in HS. Yes. I'm in love with it, it's been a great time. Oh, it's not 25, it's 1.5 hours. Oh boy.
Guess I'm not gonna try and get my hopes up.
Oh, yeah. Science is a,
Fully set up.
Hey, you could join science with Oh my god, I promise, it's so easy. I went to the meeting with Elvis and we just harassed for like half an hour and then we did this till like 10 questions.
were they hard, like, what are the questions about, actually hard?
I mean, they're hard. The one I got right, I totally guessed on. It was like what color.
I thought about doing that and then going in there and putting on my makeup and. Right, and then I changed.
And I guessed blue and that
But
was
they
right.
wouldn't give it, they'd be mad at you for that. They wouldn't.
I don't know.
That feels like something I should know though.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be
Maybe.
mad at you.